to The Legal Code, the YouTube channel dedicated to answering your legal and business questions. If it's your first time here, my name is Miriam Greenidge and I'm a licensed New York attorney. I specialize in helping small businesses, entrepreneurs build their business and protect their assets. And in this video, we are going to discuss what business structure is right for your business, whether it's an LLC or an S-Corp, and what the difference is between these two. And I see oftentimes with new business owners wondering whether or not an LLC, which is a limited liability company, is a legitimate business structure. And I'm here to let you know it absolutely is. But we're still going to go through this chart so you know the differences between what an LLC is and what an S-Corp is. So let's take a look at this chart, which is titled, Which Business Structure Should You Choose? LLC versus S-Corp. Again, this will be linked below so you can refer to it at a later date. So again, LLC stands for Limited Liability Company, and an S-Corp stands for S Corporation, S-Corp, or S Subchapter. In order to create a LLC, you must register with the Secretary of State in which the LLC will operate. And to create an S-Corp, you must file special paperwork with the IRS to create a S-Corp. You must already have an LLC and then change its status to an S-Corp. Similarly, if you have a C corporation, you can then file paperwork to change it to an S-Corp status. Business structure, an LLC is based on state law and subject to state law, whereas an S-Corp is not technically a business structure, but is a tax classification, meaning it lets the IRS know that your entity must be taxed as a partnership. So it requires the filing of the special form to let the IRS know this. Asset protection for managing members for an LLC. So a person suing is only entitled to go after the business assets of the LLC and not the personal assets of the managing members. Similarly, for an S-Corp, there is asset protection for the shareholders. Who runs a LLC? So an LLC is managed by managing members or a single member. You can have an unlimited amount of managing members for an LLC. Who owns or who runs a S-Corp? So an S-Corp is run by shareholders, or business owners are shareholders. You can have no more than 100 shareholders, and S-Corps generally have directors and officers, a board of directors who oversees corporate formalities and makes major decisions for the company. The directors elect officers who manage the daily business operations. So as you can see, the S-Corp requires significantly more players to run the S-Corporation. How is it taxed? So an LLC is taxed as a sole proprietor if it has one member, and if there are multiple members, taxed as a partnership. Similarly, a S-Corp is taxed as a partnership. So again, the paperwork that is filed to change the status to an S corporation indicates that this entity must be taxed as a partnership. So pass-through taxation. An LLC is not taxed as a business entity, meaning the business does not actually file a tax return for the business. Instead, the profits and losses of the LLC pass through the business to the LLC members. So the business owners report the profits and losses on their individual personal tax returns rather than filing a corporate tax return on behalf of the LLC. Similarly, the S-Corp has pass-through taxation as well. So profits and losses and deductions and credits are all on the shareholders are all reported on the shareholder's individual tax return. And again, the S-Corp entity is not taxed. So the S-Corp does not have to file an individual tax return. Self-employment. An LLC owner must pay self-employment taxes for all income. Comparatively, the S corporation, the owners of the S corporation pay regular income tax on their distribution, but they're not considered to be self-employed. They are employees of the S corporation, so they pay no self-employment tax on this distribution. How is pay set out? So with an LLC, the managing members can take money out of the LLC as needed. That's called a owner's draw. You can simply write a check to yourself or transfer money from the LLC's bank account to your bank account. Now an S-Corp, the IRS requires that the shareholders pay themselves a reasonable salary. So what is considered a reasonable salary? So I put a star there so you can refer to the bottom. A reasonable salary, to find out what a reasonable salary of an S-Corp employee owner, consider how you would find a reasonable salary amount for a new employee. The IRS guidelines suggest you follow the following criteria: training and experience, duties and responsibility, time and effort devoted to the business, dividend history, payments to non-shareholder employees, timing and manner of paying bonuses to key people, what comparable businesses pay for similar services, compensation agreements, and any formula used to determine compensation. So the long and short of it is that the IRS wants you to look at industry standards. What does a typical CEO of a S corporation who has been around for 2 years reasonably make? And all of this is based on how much money the company is making, the experience of the CEO, but there's no specific number that you have to follow, but what is reasonable within industry guidelines. And lastly, but not least, how is the LLC and S-Corp run? So each entity has their own, what would I call like the Bible of the company, and it sets out the compensation, what are the rules and regulations, what's permitted and what's not permitted. So for an LLC, it's called an operating agreement, and for an S-Corp, it's called the corporate bylaws. So both of these sets out what is permitted and not permitted for this entity. So as you can see from this chart, an LLC is an absolutely legitimate business structure. And you have my stamp of approval if you want to choose this for your new business structure. But if that doesn't convince you, let's look at Amazon. Now, it's pretty well known that Amazon is a business powerhouse. But guess what? Amazon is officially set up as Amazon.com LLC, which is a subsidiary of Amazon.com Inc. Why both, you may ask? Well, Amazon has decided to set up several LLCs because it distributes products throughout all 50 states. It's better for its business model as well as a tax strategy that it has several LLCs. I won't get into much the tax benefits of having several LLC, but what it also allows for is to reduce the legal liability of the company's owners in the event that there's a lawsuit. So another reason why big companies like Amazon set up multiple subsidiaries as LLCs is to have separate legal entities dedicated to various products and services. So in the event Amazon gets into legal trouble with that LLC, the person can only sue that LLC and the parent company is shielded from any liability. Pretty clever, don't you think? So in the event something goes wrong with one of the company's business, the overall parent company is left unharmed by the lawsuit and can keep those liabilities contained to just one subsidiary of the LLC. Now, Amazon also has Amazon.com Incorporated, which means it has shareholders and is a C corporation. This is the company of Amazon that most people care about. It's on the NASDAQ and it issues stocks, and it's in the news whenever Amazon announces a big launch or a new service or product. Many companies that intend to issue publicly traded stock and attain high growth targets typically will need to be structured as a C corporation. This is because C corporations do not have any limitation on shareholders. Whereas an S-Corp, as you saw earlier, S corporation has a maximum of 100 shareholders that can be part owners of the company. So now you see the difference between LLC, S-Corp, and C-Corp. It's a brief overview, but I just want you to have the information, like I said, so you can move forward in your business. And so which one should you choose? Honestly, it depends. Filing to become an LLC is a good approach to begin with because this structure offers liability protection and tax write-offs. However, as your business grows beyond the stage of startup, switching to an S-Corp may be financially sound. As income from the LLC increases, so does the self-employment taxes. S-Corps may make more financial sense for many businesses, and this is why a lot of LLCs then file to become S-corporations. So as a new business, your takeaway should be an LLC offers flexibility, asset protection for its managing members, and you have to pay self-employment taxes. But in an S corporation, the owners are required to take salaries under the IRS reasonable compensation regulations, as you can see from the chart. But again, in the early stages of a business, this is really not that important for you. I really just want you to file whatever business structure you decide is right for your business and get started delivering that product or service. I hope the information in this video is helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions about anything I discussed, you could drop that in the comment section and I will be more than happy to answer. And I'll also link the chart so that you can refer to it. And if you have any questions regarding the chart, just shoot me a comment in the comment section. Thank you. Bye-bye.